Caleb!
Hi everyone!
Caleb, sit!
Caleb is moving the camera.
Okay, come over here, bud. Hi, buddy. Come on.
I'm just gonna wait until it kind of finishes loading and then we will...
Alright.
Hi everyone! Welcome to Get Your Play Online. My name is Liz.
I'm Emily.
And this is Corbin.
And Caleb's over here because he's a little big.
So me and Corbin usually do our live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. just as we are today. And we have some visitors here today because this is my best friend Emily and her puppy, her dog I should say, because he's not a puppy anymore, Caleb, and he is a dog that shows during the fair for 4-H. So I wanted to get her on to ask you guys some questions, or so that you guys could ask her some questions and learn about show dogs, because she helps to train the show dogs now that she is done being in 4-H. Shh, Corbin! So first I wanted to have her tell us a little bit about Caleb and a little bit about the training that she's had to do with Caleb to get him to be a show dog.
Alright. So Caleb is an 11-year-old Australian cattle dog, otherwise known as a blue heeler, and the red color variants are known as red heelers. They can also be known as Queensland heelers or Hals heelers. They have a lot of names, but I've been training him for 11 years since he was an 8-week-old puppy through the 4-H program. And when I graduated, my brother showed him for a couple of years, and now that both of us are out, he's retired, quote unquote. But now I volunteer and I help out training in the 4-H program, showing the kids showmanship, obedience, agility, and rally, helping out there. But I'm also dipping my toe into judging, so
Judging is where she will go through and judge the dogs as they're showing. So do you want to tell us a little bit about judging?
Judging, you have a clipboard, you dress nicer than what I would dress today. But you have your clipboard, you have your score sheets, you watch the kids exhibit practically, and then you make sure that they've done everything correctly. They don't have too tight of a leash because we don't want them to have too tight of a leash. You make sure that the dog is properly groomed, which Corbin is. Caleb is not. It happens.
Corbin's an inside dog, so he has to get groomed a little more.
But the judging, it's points and timing, and a lot of things go into judging, but we also want to make sure that the kids have a good time, they learn something, and that they're having fun. We want it to be a learning experience. That's what my 4-H program is all about, is learning.
That's awesome. And it's also learning how to take care of the dog as well.
And learning more about their dog breed and themselves and growing through that.
Yeah, so now I'd like you to tell me a little bit about the different trainings that Caleb is able to do.
Caleb, I trained him to do rally obedience, which is a variant of regular obedience with signs instead of verbal commands from the judge. So the rally is where you set up a course with signs where it's a 360 right turn, 360 left turn.
Maybe we should have checked the microphone.
I'm not. Yeah, they're fine. I don't see anything coming in that they can't hear me. Here, you can monitor on my phone. Hang on.
Here, let me just. I just want to double check to make sure our sound is working.
Yes,
because I just thought of that.
But no, Corbin, what are you doing under my chair?
Because I am using a new
microphone
today, so I want to make sure that you guys can hear us.
Yes.
Let's just double check.
Yeah.
Yes, you can hear.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, you can turn that down now.
And if you guys have any questions for Emily, you guys can drop them in the comments.
We'll be monitoring that and I'll answer them. But
okay, going back to what you were
going
talking
back
about.
to my spiel. I've trained him in rally obedience, regular obedience, which is what Corbin is now learning as a puppy, and showmanship, which is like what you would see on TV around Thanksgiving. Sorry, distracted.
So that's like the
pedigree stuff, the showmanship, but this is a 4-H variant, so we're not as strict with our rules. And then he's also trained in agility, which is an obstacle course, which from what I have gathered, Liz will be doing in a few weeks.
Well, towards the end of the summer, I'm going to be doing one.
That's a few weeks. But yeah, he's trained in a lot. it's not about the competition to me. To me, it's about the learning experience. But he has done very well and won several blue ribbons in the competitions that I've been in, which is literally just the county fair and then the state fair dog show, which I've only done for 3 years. But it's a lot of fun. He's had a lot of fun. He's done a lot of growing up. He's 11, but he acts like he's a puppy.
Well, in calmness, Caleb is a lot more calm than Corbin here is, because Corbin is obviously still a puppy, so he still has that puppy energy.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about his breed?
The Australian cattle dogs were bred in Australia. They were crossbred with border collies, Dalmatians, and the native dingoes of Australia in order to herd the cattle on the cattle fields, because Australia is such a dry and desert climate in a lot of the areas. They were bred to do that at long distances, long days, long hot days. So Caleb does really okay on the hot weather, but something that is a fun fact about cattle dogs and that is unique to their breed is that when they're walking, they don't walk like Corbin would walk with the paws alternating on the front and the back.
Well, he doesn't do that either.
Well, he more waddles, so it's like the left side will move all at the same time and the right side will move all at the same time, and that's a development of that breed so that they conserve their energy. So it's like he can be walking for like 5 hours and still take off at the drop of a pin to chase the cow in 30 seconds.
Well, and like Corbin, Corbin is another variant of the herding dog, but because he's a corgi, and corgis were bred in I think it was Wales.
Yep.
To be herding dogs. So both of these boys are herding dogs, and they like to try and herd each other sometimes.
They're they're both a very high energy breed.
Except for Caleb is just very chill. But that also comes with his age. Since he is an older dog, he is a lot more calmer. And Corbin right now, since he is almost 8 months old, he'll be 8 months old this week. He
Trying to bribe my dog onto the camera.
Oh no! Our webcam got
Fun.
Corbin, come here.
Oop, and I dropped my treat somewhere.
Caleb will pick it up probably.
Eventually he will, yes.
Oh no, hold on.
Oop.
Trying to fix
I
our
was gonna
webcam.
say, can they see us? Are
Yeah,
we
they
still
can
live?
see
Okay,
us,
good.
but the webcam.
Corbin, Dean. Corbin.
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to fix the webcam.
Corbin.
There we go.
Okay. Oh. I don't know
Oh
what that
gosh.
is.
Whoa.
Too many things happening at once.
Whoa.
Corbin. What are you doing, Goofy?
Corbin is a very high energy dog, so sometimes
He's
it's
a puppy.
kind of hard to deal with, but
We love him.
So, do you guys have any questions for Emily? You guys can put them in the comments and we can see them. Well, you guys are maybe thinking of some questions for Emily. I'm going to have Emily demonstrate some of the skills that she needs for... Did you talk a little bit about obedience and showmanship then?
Showmanship I talked a little bit about, and obedience is what you've been doing.
Yeah.
But Caleb knows to a little bit higher than Corbin does.
Corbin's
So-
just learning, he's just in basic obedience class right now, so he's just learning some of the basics that he
Mhm.
needs to know.
And Caleb knows more of the rally obedience than the regular obedience, but I know more about the regular obedience, so we'll see if he can do it.
So what I'm going to have Emily, oh, and then showmanship is,
Showmanship is where you line up in the line with your showmanship lead, and the judge will judge you based on your knowledge of the dog's breed, of the dog's coat condition, and of your knowledge about the patterns, the gaiting, there's a lot that goes into showmanship. I'll see if I have time, if I can demonstrate one of the more complex patterns.
So what we are going to do right now is I'm going to have us move our chairs, and I'm going to put Corbin inside so that Caleb doesn't get distracted by Corbin, because Corbin is very, very much so wanting to play with Caleb, and Caleb is an older
Very
dog.
much not into it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go put Corbin inside just so that he doesn't distract Caleb while Caleb is trying to show off some of his skills, and we are going to show off some of Caleb's skills. So I'm gonna go do that, and if you have any questions for Emily while I'm doing that, you can put them in the comments.
Yes. And Caleb does know off leash as well as on leash, but today with the new environment, I'm going to have him on leash. And normally I also have different collars that signify when it's playtime and when it's work time. So when it's playtime, he has his regular collar on, but when it's work time, he normally has his training collar on, which I don't have with me, but normally I would have that on him so it signifies work time, and his regular collar would come off at that point in time. Same with the showmanship, they have a specific lead for that, and I don't have that with me today, but I'm improvising as much as I can, trying to keep him active and everything in his old age, because we want him to be as healthy and as strong as he can for as long as he can be. And Caleb is now distracted by the Corbin. Come here, buddy. Let's see if we can get a good look at him quick before Liz comes back. You can see his face, maybe? He's going a little bit gray. So, did anybody have any questions for me that I can answer either now or later towards the end of the demonstrations? Good boy, Caleb. You're a very good boy.
Being inside right now.
Oh, the poor buddy. All right, then.
All right, so we are going to move our chairs out of the way.
Yes.
So that you guys can see what Emily is demonstrating. And if you have any questions about some of the things that she's demonstrating, you guys can put them in the comments.
And I am not against using treats. I just prefer not to use treats. With Caleb being in a new environment today, I will be using some treats. In my training process, we call that baiting. So, Caleb, come. Sit. Stay. No. Hey, buddy, sit. This is called the recall, if you can see that at all.
Yep.
Stay. Stay. Caleb, come. Caleb, sit. Good boy. Caleb, around. Around. Come on. Around. Come on, buddy.
Make sure Corbin doesn't get out.
Come on, buddy. Around. Good boy. Now sit. Sit.
Oh.
Sit. Good boy. Good boy. There you go. My training process is a bit unique too, in the fact that I really like to be energetic towards him, because he's an older boy. But my training process, I try to encourage my kids when they're training to be as energetic with their dog, to talk to their dog, and know that it takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. But Caleb, would you like to try that again off your leash?
Now that the other doggy is not in.
Now that Corbin is not around? Caleb, come. Caleb, sit. Caleb, sit. Hey, sit. Come on. Sit. Caleb.
And remember that you can put your questions in the comments if you have any questions about Caleb or training.
Stay. Caleb, come.
Good boy.
Come here, buddy. Come here, bud. Come here, bud. Come here. Sit. Sit. Oh, no. I guess he's not wanting to do that, and that's okay. Not everything works all the time. But you want to demonstrate the pattern now?
So I suppose
The
not.
basic down and back? This is the basic one that I teach all of my beginner kids, is the down and back. And there's two ways you can do it with the down and back. Feel? You can either, I'm going to pretend you guys are the judge this time, okay? You can either switch the lead into a different hand, or you can do a turn. So come on. Good boy. Good boy. That's the down and back with the switch. And then we've got the other one.
So we're watching her hand and how she moves it.
And the other one, you don't switch your hands. All right? And there's no right or wrong way. It's just in showmanship, we normally do not like to get between the dog and the judge. So you guys are the judge today. We normally do not like to get that, but there are two exceptions to that rule. And that is that form of the down and back when it's indicated in a pattern, or the courtesy turn. So 3 times that it is allowable to get between the dog and the judge. So, would you like to do a little more obedience? You just want to lie down. All right, good boy. He's a good boy, but he's a little lazy. We call him my Eeyore. My Eeyore. He's got his nicknames, but all right, bud, come on. Let's do something else. Let's do something else. What should we do? What should we do? All right. Let's do something fun and obedience-like, okay?
It's funny because Caleb's actually favorite event to do is agility, but he's the laziest dog ever.
He loves agility. He goes very, very fast. His fastest time was 42 seconds, which everybody's like, how can he move that fast? It's because they drop and kick at the drop of a pin. All right, bud, are you gonna be nice and demonstrate my sit 1 step, 2 step, 3 step? Are you gonna be nice? Sit. All right, 1 step, sit. Come on, bud, sit, sit. 2 steps, and sit. Bud. Hey, bud, sit. You're like, I'm not in my collar mode, Mom. Which happens. This is why I have a different collar for him, but he's a good boy. I love him a lot. Is there any questions at all?
Not that I am seeing. We have a couple friends watching though.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of some questions that people might be wondering at home. What kind of things do they ask you in showmanship judging?
They ask you quite a lot. They like to ask you about where parts of your dog is if you're first year. So my favorite question to ask the kids is, where is your dog's stop? And it is right between their nose, between their eyeballs, right at their nose.
Can you see it?
Probably not.
Right there.
It's
Do you see
right-
what she's showing?
Right here. That's called the stop. Or on humans, it's right here. It's because it's a pressure point and a nerve ending where if they're doing something you don't quite like, you can just apply some gentle pressure there and they should in theory stop. My next favorite question to ask the kids is, where is their occiput? Which that's a big word for kiddos like you, but it's the tiny bump on the back of a dog's skull.
Here, let's show.
Right between their head. And Australian cattle dogs have this little white mark on their head called a Bentley's mark. And they all start out primarily white with only their majorly dark marks showing. Like Caleb would have been born solidly white except for his ears, and maybe a few spots on his back would have been black. But he's now starting to turn a little bit more gray because he's 11, but
let's see.
Is there anything else that might be
I'm trying to think if there's any other things that... Is there anything that you can think of that people would need to know about showmanship or obedience?
Showmanship. The other thing about showmanship is there's usually a specific trot that we do. It's called a gait. It's where you try and get your dog to trot. But when we line up biggest dog to smallest dog, every handler has to move at a different pace than everybody else, because bigger dogs, it doesn't take as much for them to trot. The handler might only have to be walking in order to get their dog to trot. Whereas Caleb, with him, I had to jog a little bit, and I would demonstrate gaiting, but the yard's not quite big enough, but it happens.
Yeah, and then like Corbin, for example, since Corbin is a smaller dog,
You would only have to walk. Well, no, bigger dogs have to run a little bit. Tiny dogs have to walk.
Yeah, so
But-
I'm sure that I would just have to
Walk
in a quick motion, maybe,
at a brisk pace, yes.
because Corbin is technically a medium dog, not a...
He's a small dog. He would be a small dog in
He's in
agility.
well, yeah, for agility.
For agility, he would be a small dog.
But like in general, he's
In
classed
size,
as a medium-sized dog.
Because in showmanship, any dog can do showmanship, and a lot of the time they have tables for the smaller dog, ramps for bigger dogs. So an example of a table dog, as we call them, would be a dachshund, because their handler would then have to pick them up gently, put them on the table, and stack them. Oh, I forgot about stacking.
What
But
is stacking?
Stacking is, if Caleb will allow me, when
He says maybe. We'll see.
When you have all their paws lined up, Caleb, come over here. Stand. Good boy. And we try to adjust them so that the front paws are in alignment, and then their back paws are also normally in alignment. And he just moved, but he's still in a stacked position. Stand. He does not want to do it today, but that is what stacking is, and each breed has a different kind of stack. So Caleb, being a cattle dog, is more square. Corbin, being a corgi, would be more square. Whereas German Shepherds, they like to have their front legs square and their back legs set back and a little bit offset. So
She says German Shepherds because her brother has a...
my brother has a German Shepherd. We also have an American Cocker Spaniel named Isabella, who is a chocolate sable variety. She's gorgeous. She is going to be 10 in November. And Cassie, my brother's German Shepherd, also named Liz's sister,
Yes.
she will be turning 3 in November as well. But Caleb is the oldest of the bunch. He turned 11 earlier this month on June 10th.
He would have had a brother that
He
would
had
have
a
been...
litter mate named Rusty, who was a red healer, as they would call him. But unfortunately, we lost Rusty almost two years ago now, due to medical problems that he was having. But
Yeah, so
Then
they
we
don't
got-
have Rusty anymore, but instead they have Cassie now.
Cassie is unique.
That's pretty good.
That's putting it nicely for me. She's a wonderful dog. Do not get me wrong. She's intelligent, as most German Shepherds are, but
She's very highly energetic.
she's also a very high energy breed, and luckily we know how to handle that at home. But
Because you do have Caleb.
we
and
have
Nancy.
Caleb.
And then, do you want to tell us a little bit about Isabella, since you did show her as well?
Isabella, oh my gosh. She is a bird brain because American Cocker Spaniels were bred to chase the waterfowl out when hunters were hunting pheasants and other things, which Isabella has never done that, but she is still a bird brain. She sees the tiniest bird and will ignore me. She has a very good ear that can tune out anybody who may or may not be listening, and she's a unique soul. When we first did obedience, we started with the rally obedience because at that time, first year dogs, first year kiddos could do, well, experienced handlers with first year dogs could do rally obedience to start off with a new dog, and she got reserve champion in that rally obedience class due to her she may not have paid attention in the ring, but she outside of the ring, but she sure paid attention to me inside of the ring. And that's because I worked with them and handled them and trained them to the best of my ability. And it's important for you guys to know that practice makes perfect, but I don't want anybody to stress themselves out. It's not good for you. It's not good for the dog.
How many hours a week would you say that you practiced with Caleb when he was a puppy?
Oh my goodness. I did 20-minute spurts for about, I want to say 2 hours occasionally is what I would do with Caleb. And Isabella, I only did 20 minutes per hour because she would not listen to me. But I recommend spacing it out over 15 to 20 minute sessions within the span of an hour to 2 hours. But I recommend having a 15 to 20 minute break in between just to play and get your dog's energy out. It's not good for them to be trying to think too much for extended amount of times, even though they are dogs. They are intelligent creatures, as are we. They have feelings and emotions just like us. Because, yes, but
Yeah, that's why in my lives, when I do training lives with Corbin, I usually make sure I'm only training him for maybe 10-ish minutes out of the lives, just to give him some time to play in between and get his energy out. So that's a good tip that I've been trying to show you guys, but Emily has displayed that again today, that you need to make sure that you're giving your dogs time to play, and it's not all work, work, work.
Yes, and nothing is ever going to work out right, no matter at every single time. Like Caleb demonstrated today, he didn't always want to do what I asked him, and that's okay.
And sometimes things happen in the ring or in the show ring, and it's very frustrating. I remember that from when Emily was showing. And sometimes a lot of times things are just out of your control. So sometimes you don't have
the weather is a big factor on the show day. Whether dogs will be anxious or listening, and the dogs have their good days, the dogs have their bad days. We have our good days, we have our bad days.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it just is a bad day for the dog while they're trying to.
Yes.
Well, you're trying to get them to do something that you want them to do, but they maybe don't want to do.
Especially when they ignore you half the time, like this bugger.
What are some of Caleb's favorite things to do?
Some of Caleb's favorite things to do include running around outside in our back pasture, because I live on a farm, so we have lots of space for him to roam around when he's out and about. His favorite things to do there are chasing the scent trails from deer and other animals that wander through, and chasing our cats, much to our dismay. But we love him, and he does good work. He defends me and my honor.
As most dogs do. He's very attached to Emily.
He is my baby. He is very loyal to me.
Just as Corbin is to me.
Corbin is very loyal to Liz, yes. They're going to have a very strong bond as long as they keep working together.
Yes.
And yes, Caleb's other favorite things to do include giving me kisses, which he does not seem to be in the mood to do right now, which is good.
What other tricks does Caleb here now?
He knows how to shake, much to my dismay. I trained him how to shake, and he won't stop. He'll scratch your leg accidentally, and whenever he meets somebody new, he's very polite and sits and offers a paw, but not to me.
What a gentleman.
He's such a gentleman. Are you...
Says you're talking about me, Mom.
You've got foam all over your mouth. Are you okay, bud?
He says I'm hot.
Yeah, but...
There's water over there if you want to get him a drink.
You want to go to water? Let's go to water while Liz talks to her kiddos.
But yeah, so if you guys have any other questions for Emily, this is your chance to ask them. And I will monitor the chat. Oh, I'm just going to go back. I will monitor the chat, and if there's any questions for Emily afterwards, I can send them to her to make sure that they get answered. So if there are no more questions, I think we'll probably wrap things up. Maybe we'll bring Corbin back out and maybe see if Corbin can demonstrate some of this.
Yes.
That could be fun.
That would be very fun. I'll get up again. They're good. Always good. Oh, there's the buddy.
The door was locked.
And Caleb's like, oh no, the buddy.
Do you want to
Come on, bud. Come on, bud. All right, we're back. Sit. 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 That's not a very good look at him.
Alright, so now I have Corbin here, and I'm going to see if Corbin can demonstrate some of the skills. Oh my goodness! Okay, go soon. Is that better? You sniffing it?
Goodness, Corbin. No.
Alright, now...
Corbin.
Corbin gets very distracted by other dogs. 6. Yes.
Treats. Always use them when in doubt.
Corbin. Corbin Dean, come here. Corbin, you want to eat? Corbin.
Sit, bud.
Corbin. 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 You want to eat? Sit. happens too, where your dog will get distracted by another dog.
Down.
As Corbin is demonstrating right now for you guys. Do you need to go sniff him again?
Oh, goodness. All right, come here, bud.
Come here. Corbin. And when your dog does get distracted, like Corbin does by other dogs, what you can do is lure them with a treat. Corbin.
Mama's talking.
You can try and lure them with a treat. Corbin.
Corbin.
Leave him alone.
Maybe I should take Caleb in for a snitch.
No, he's good. Corbin.
No. Here, bud.
Corbin. This is good for Corbin because Corbin is very easily distracted. Corbin. Caleb's gonna go inside for a second so I can try and demonstrate some of these with Corbin. Corbin. But Corbin is very distracted. Corbin. Corbin. I don't know if he will. Corbin. Corbin. You want to eat? I don't think Corbin's going to want to demonstrate today. We are in Corbin's house, so this is how Corbin likes to defend his house, is by barking. He's a very vocal dog. Come here. Yeah, I think we're going to call that good. Emily, you want to come back out? He's not wanting to. He's a little too distracted.
It happens to the best of us. Like I said, we all have our good days and we all have our bad days.
Corbin gets very distracted by other dogs because he doesn't get to spend a lot of time with other dogs in general, which is something that we are trying to work on so that he can get a little more.
And he has met Caleb before.
Yes, they have spent lots of hike time together. We went on a hike with them before,
Yep.
and we went on a walk when he was a puppy with Caleb.
Yep. He's just easily distracted by everything right now.
Yeah, he is not used to having other dogs in his house. Since we are in, this is Corbin's zone.
This
so-
is Corbin's zone. Caleb works better in different zones than at his home zone.
So that's why I didn't bring. That's why we.
Yes, you, Corbin.
Alright, we're done.
Alright, you can go back inside, can't you? Watch
All right.
the train?
Corbin,
Corbin, come here, bud.
come here.
Time to train.
Whoa, careful, Emily.
Corbin!
Good boy, Caleb. Sit. Caleb, sit. Alright, Corbin's gonna go back inside.
You can tell when I walk away, he watches me.
Yes. Alright, so if you guys don't have any other questions, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Did you have anything else that you wanted to demonstrate?
No, I'm
or-
alright.
All
Everything
right.
might be a little too complicated.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned some stuff about show dogs and how to train your dog a little bit. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and Emily and I will
Monitor them.
monitor them and we'll let you guys know if there's anything that you guys want to know about. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys online.